Tank Sports Show. My name's Noah.
I'm Matt.
And this is our first episode, coming to you live from the East Bank of the Flats in downtown Cleveland. To start this off, I kind of want to give us some background. Me and Matt have always talked about doing a podcast, and whether we get one viewer or a million viewers or 0 viewers, like just to have kind of our sports opinions out there would be kind of a cool way to go about things. So for some background to start everything off, we both met in college. We both played college football together. We were both obviously high school athletes, that kind of thing. But we became friends because we're both diehard Cleveland sports fans. So that's kind of where we're at today. If you want to give some background on yourself, anything extra, whatever.
I grew up east side, far east of Cleveland. Just always loved Cleveland sports. Grew up watching them with family, all that. Fell in love.
Both definitely the types of families that like grew up in the, like you just indoctrinated into that Cleveland lifestyle. Yeah.
Right.
Ohio State, that kind of thing. The connections I have at Ohio State from coaches and stuff that my family knew is crazy. So just being in the area, you get addicted to it for sure. So yeah, that's kind of some background on us, and obviously you'll probably find out some more the more episodes we do. I played O-line.
I was a wide receiver, mostly kick returner, but
yeah. So that was kind of our 2 cents in college, in high school, that kind of thing. Did you play any other sports in high school?
I ran track.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember what else you did. Yeah, I played basketball like freshman year, and I was god awful, and I was like, just I'll work and I'm gonna lift to play football and call it a day. So yeah, you want to start this off with our first topic?
So off the bat, talking about the guards, it sucks, you know. The biggest thing for me is we're such a young team, and we had such a great year last year, and not even in the terms of like great statistically or anything. It's the fact of we overachieved. We weren't even supposed to be a 500 team last year. We made the playoffs. Took the Yankees to 5 in a 5-game series. Like, nobody put us there.
Right.
You're only supposed to get better. And now we're fighting, not even really fighting anymore. We just blew it up.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of what's going on in terms of, like, we got rid of, like, Josh Bell, whatever. Josh Bell wasn't, like, fantastic for us, but moving on from these pieces that were contributing, and when we're in the middle of a race with the Twins, regardless of how bad both teams' records are, the fact that, like, I bought the ballpark pass, you know this, and I went to the most baseball games this season I think I've ever gone to, other than working for the Akron Rubber Ducks, which another thing about my background, obviously you know that, but just seeing like this team that was fun to watch, and now we're like Calhoun or whatever his name is starting every game.
Like what?
Why are we starting Calhoun every game? And I saw a stat the other day. I'm a big Bo Naylor guy. You know this, obviously. He was my favorite player in Akron when I worked down there, and seeing like Bo's good against righties, I believe.
Yeah.
And the last time he played the righty in I forget the team now. He was like 2 for 4 with a home run, and we played Cam Gallagher instead. Like, I just don't get some of the lineup decisions that we're making, and I don't know if that's like an ownership thing because they're like, yeah, we're punting on the season or whatever, but like, I have more faith in Tito as a manager than what's been kind of going on all season. There's been a lot of head-scratching decisions, in my opinion.
It's hard because, like, you love Tito. He's an amazing manager. I think for a period there, he was the best manager in baseball.
100%.
I don't think so anymore with the way this year's going.
No, I'm with you there.
But, like, I'm not calling for his head, but at some points I've been like, what are we doing here, Tito? Like, this just doesn't make any sense. And, like, even if the ownership was like, hey, punt the season, do whatever, like, worry about contracts and call-ups and all that with how the MLB contracts work, cool, whatever. Teams do that every year, but we're still not even doing that right.
Yeah.
Like, if that's how we wanted to play this season, we were 15 days late calling up Bo Naylor.
Right, 100%.
if we're like,
I was a part of the
only
Twitter
reason-
mob that was like calling for the front office to call up Bo, and not just because I liked him. And like I went and saw him in Columbus, and he hit like 2 home runs that game. But like I don't get it either. It's like you want to, then you don't, and then we punt completely. Savali going too. Like we haven't even touched on that yet.
That I hate that trade so much for so many reasons.
Yeah.
We don't have pitchers to move right now. At the time, we were still within anywhere from 3 to a half a game within the Twins.
Yeah.
Like that's a division race. At no point this season have I thought like, oh, we're going to the World Series.
Yeah.
We're not a World Series team this year. If we developed off last year, we could have been. We've clearly regressed. But when you're fighting for a division, you always want to bring home a division crown. Like
Yeah.
winning your division, that's awesome. Why are we punting the team within a game and a half of that
Right.
and trading our best pitcher at the time?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it just.
I'm with you there, especially
and what did
because
we return? We returned a third baseman in the minors.
yeah.
It was straight up, wasn't it? Or did we get some?
No,
more
I think they
prospects?
added. I think they added someone else. I forget what that trade completely went down. Maybe we should have looked at that beforehand. But growing pains, right? Yeah, I still don't get it, especially when he's your most consistent starter in a playoff push.
Why are we going after a third baseman? You want to trade him for some all-star minor leaguer that's going to be your future? Didn't we just sign Jose to his extension? Like he's in Cleveland. He's going to be our third baseman.
And Gimme and
Like,
you've got
we have so many
Kwan.
shortstops coming
Yeah.
up that we don't have room on the middle infield for him because Hinney's staying there. Like,
Right.
We're not moving a Gold Glover even if he's having a down year.
Right.
First base is going to go back to Josh Naylor once he
He
comes
comes
back.
back. Yeah, that's the other thing too.
I mean, outfield, you have Kwan, Brennan, Straw, Oscar Gonzalez. I'm
Yeah.
a believer in no matter what.
Yeah, I will be
Mostly
too,
I
just
saw him
because of
walk
the
off in
playoff
playoffs.
game. Yeah.
I was at that game. and
Right.
Even if he leaves Cleveland, I'll be one of the guys I'll always root for is him. But like, I just don't see the reasoning in blowing it up for future pieces right now.
Yeah, neither do I.
We threw away a season that we could have made the playoffs. Could have won the division.
I don't know if you saw that news report that went out or whatever, but the front office like went down. I think it was the Tampa Bay series when we were in Tampa, and they like had to talk to the team because the team was upset about the punt, and it's like you're ruining like this nice young team for what? Like I get that it probably wasn't an all-star World Series year, but you still want to compete. I would feel like, and it's the MLB. Anything can happen, you know.
I think the MLB especially. You see it in the NBA a little bit too, but with the MLB and especially in 7-game series, anything can happen.
Yeah.
In the NBA, the same way with 7-game series. I feel like more times in the NBA, the better team on paper wins.
Yeah.
But in the MLB, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
sure, I don't think we're a World Series team. Cleveland's known for getting hot.
Yeah.
If we get hot right down the stretch, win the division by 4 games,
Who knows?
coming to the playoffs,
Who
who
knows?
knows? We might sweep our way into the World Series.
Right.
And anything's possible.
Yeah.
And the other thing I think about too is a lot of these young players are a year or two older than us. So think about us when we were playing college or even go back a little further to high school. And it was all about perspective, like how you look at it, how you feel about the game.
Yeah.
If you're coming into a game thinking you're going to get smoked, you're going to get slapped around.
It's a 66-0 loss, especially if
Yeah,
high
get
up. Like
smoked.
we played D3 football, and like we played 2 games, and you know,
You
like
still
that
win.
year went rough because it was the COVID year, and I can't
It's-
even. Yeah,
It
yeah, you're
changed,
right.
and I guarantee you it changed your mentality the same way it changed mine, just about the sport and everything.
Yeah.
So if it's
Yeah.
bad enough that the owners have to go sit with the players because they're frustrated, like
I don't want to put my name on that because I think I might have saw that on like a Twitter article or something, but
so,
like.
but even so, just giving up on young players, even if it's just, hey, we're giving up on this season to come back for the next season stronger. I hate the message that sends to young players who are trying to build themselves.
Especially if you're trying to build a culture in a locker room, you know.
Yeah.
I just like to go and be this close to the team that's in front of you that also is not playing good baseball.
I mean, they could be playing better baseball too.
Yeah.
They definitely should be a better team than they're playing.
Yeah.
But that's the game. We should be trying to capitalize on them having a bad year.
Yeah.
Not going, oh, they're having a bad year too, whatever. We'll both just have it. Like, it makes no sense.
It makes no sense to me either, man. With that being said, before we flip to the next topic, how are you wearing a Cubs hat on your first episode? On your first topic being the Guardians.
You're going to sit here and tell me it's not a pretty sweet hat.
No, I do mess with the hat. It is a good hat, but I can only wear Cleveland hats when it comes to fitteds and stuff like that.
You're gonna see a lot of different hats.
No, I get it. That's like me and shoes. It's me and shoes. I get it, but like to me, when it's like a city, especially like the team that beat us, it's like I just can't.
Touching on that real quick though.
Yeah.
I don't care how anybody feels about that World Series. It sucks we lost. I still think we should have won it. That is one of the best Game 7s in sports history.
I wasn't even into baseball like that, and I was on the edge of my seat the whole time.
Like, I believe it was Jason Kipnis. I think it was Kip. He had a foul ball that was maybe 2.5, 3 foot foul ball. Would have won it all.
Yeah.
I think all of Cleveland was holding their breath for 5 seconds while that bat cracked and that ball was flying.
Yeah, I remember that.
But I mean, even like Game 7, it goes to extra innings. We came back, I think we were down coming into the 7th, and we brought it back to tie it up. Goes to extras. It's one of the best Game 7s in all history. Yeah, it sucks it didn't go our way. Kind of cool we were a part of it, though.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm with it 100%. That was a magical year for Cleveland sports in general. I missed that time period, and hopefully our team in the next topic, the Cleveland Browns, can be the team to
be the next ones up.
To be the next ones up finally. Speaking of that, I know I've been to training camps and I was in person for the preseason game at the Browns Stadium. I know you haven't paid attention to preseason as much as I have. I've been out of football for all of 6 months and I miss it. So like any ounce of football I can get right now, I'm taking it.
Taking every shot you get.
I just kind of want to touch on a couple highlights, and I know the horse has been kind of beaten to death on some of these players, but like to start, Dwan Jones, looking like a quality, could be NFL starter. The way, coming from an offensive lineman, the way he moves out of his stance, whether it be a 2-point or a 3-point, on either side of the ball, because I don't know if you know this, but Sunday I was at training camp, they had him taking left tackle reps for the first time. Which makes me wonder, because of Jedrick, I'm whatever on Jedrick. I think he's a very average starter in the NFL. But that makes you wonder, man, like, do they really have that much faith in this guy? Like, maybe he's not the starter this year. Like, he's still young and raw, but, like, next year, like, yeah.
I mean, at the very least, if they're already willing to move him around, I think this close to the season, that at least shows we have halfway decent backup.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to this season specifically.
Especially because James Hudson, the backup swing tackle we've had, he's looked pretty rough the last couple preseason games and stuff. So knowing that we got a hit on a guy like Dwan in a later round pick is reassuring. And we have one of the best O-line coaches in the NFL too. Like that's part of it as well, probably. But seeing Dwan Jones, especially as Ohio State fans, be this big 6'8" dude, and he's able to handle and space out and move well.
I mean,
Camp 1 of the NFL. Yeah, go ahead.
Like, my thing with that is coming into it, I mean, he was a late pick, so I wasn't upset with it at all.
No,
take the shot.
Yeah, right.
My whole thought process was, at Ohio State, he looked pretty good because he's massive and he plays for Ohio State.
Right.
It's hard not to look good. But at the same time, like, moving up to that NFL level, you're about to see much faster, stronger DNs, even than that you saw, like, at Michigan or at some of the other big schools.
Right. Keep going. No, you're good.
And I was just worried that at his size, he wasn't going to be able to move. And I get he's playing third stringers, fringe practice squad guys.
Right.
Most likely some of these guys are going to get cut. They're still a step above and he's still able to move.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm really excited to see what he can develop into.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to go on a pause before you wrap up this Dwan Jones topic real quick. So now that we're back, took a minute. I had to go to the bathroom. Talking about the rest of the preseason and what I've seen so far. Did you watch that starter drive at all against Washington?
I did not, no.
Okay. In my opinion, that offense and what I saw from Deshaun reminded me of the Deshaun Watson that was one of the most fun players to watch in football at 2020, 2019. Moving out of the pocket, reading the field, taking time, letting receivers kind of free roam a little bit when the route doesn't work out. It looked like what you would want to see in one drive of preseason football from him. You never know what that translates for. Maybe I'm being timid because I'm a Browns fan or whatever, but all in all, I really liked what I saw out of the starters, both on offense and defense in that Washington game. It's the only time we've seen the starters so far, but I just wanted to touch on that real quick. What are your expectations for like Deshaun, the offense? And you can be as negative or realistic.
It's hard for me.
Yeah.
Because, like, especially being a man, as you know, that was very high on Baker Mayfield.
Right.
Hated him at first.
Right.
Had it shoved right back at me. He played pretty well for us for a year.
Yeah.
And then coming into the next year, I was like, all right, he's going to be good. Let's see what he can really do. Settled in, and he's going to build on it. And he's going to be great. And he's going to be awesome. And we're going to go to the playoffs. And we're going to do wonderful things this year. And we didn't.
Yeah.
And that seems to be a common trend with Browns history. And all I'm seeing out of camp is every beat reporter going, oh my God, Deshaun looks so great. Deshaun looks so great on it. Deshaun looks so great against practice squad guys. I hope he does great, and I think on paper we have one of the best offenses in the league.
Yeah.
One of the top 10 offense at the least on paper. But we've had that for 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
I want to talk to me after week 1 happens and we're
Just see where we're actually at.
and
Yeah,
we
that's
either scored 40 points or he scored 10, and I'll tell you what I feel then. I don't know what to feel.
and I'm with you there. I've just been to training camp, and you see the difference. You could see Deshaun playing like Deshaun. You can see the offense moving in a way that is tailored to Deshaun instead of an offense that's tailored to a quarterback like Jacoby Brissett, which did everything he could for us. But he's not the caliber of quarterback Deshaun Watson is, even rusty in my opinion. So it'll be curious to see how quick, if there's any more rust that we need to shake off of Deshaun, if with an offense tailored to him, he hits in his stride, goes running, and has one of the best years of his career or something like that. Like,
I mean,
he was on pace to do better every year before you wanted to trade and all this stuff came out. So,
as a Browns fan, I hope he does well. I hope he plays great. I won't be optimistic until after week 1.
Yeah,
when
that's
we
fair.
score 50 points.
right, I'm with you.
I know we're not going to score 50, but
I get you.
I know I'm tired of being excited to watch an offense that everybody tells me is going to be a 30-point per game offense, score 14, and have a touchdown on defense.
Yeah, I get you, and I'm there because I've been there and I've done that. I've been excited about quarterbacks in the past that have come through. I've been excited about offensives that we've had in the past that it blow up in my face. But I have faith in this team for once in a way that I don't think I've ever had, just with the additions we've made on defense, the additions we've made on offense, some of the stuff that they're moving around. Like, I don't know what else you could do as a team to try to get yourself in position to make a run.
I definitely think we are making the right moves. And I think after this year, if we don't seriously put something together, it might be time to start to look at the head coach of the team. Because at some point, when you have a team as good as we are on paper...
Are you a Stefanski believer? Because I believe in Stefanski 100%. I think he's the answer.
I have been a fan of him since he came to Cleveland.
Yeah.
And almost in the same way with how we were talking about, I believe in Tito, but some of the stuff he does makes me go, what are we doing?
Yeah.
The same way that we could very realistically be at halftime of a football game and Nick Chubb has touched the ball 3 times does not make sense to me.
I think that's going to shake out a lot more because they're letting him completely embrace the role because there's no Kareem Hunt who has elite level, skills to take some of the carries and the catches. Yeah,
does hurt, but I mean, you still, when you have a back, you can make the serious argument for that he's the best back in football. Yeah. You find a way to get him touches.
No, I'm with you.
You hand him the ball 15 times in the first half, and if you're up by 20, cool, you give it to him 5.
Yeah.
Or if you're not, you keep going. But what was it last year? I forget what team it was that we were playing, but we went into halftime and he had 3 carries.
Was it the Chargers game we went to?
It might have been the Chargers.
I think it might. I don't remember off the top of my head. But
it just I believe in him. I think he is a good coach. But there's times, and I'm a college dropout.
Yeah.
He is not.
Right.
He has been coaching in the league for a long time. Yeah. I'm not saying that I know better than him. In my mind, I don't understand why we don't run the ball more. I know everybody says that, but we have one of the best backs in football. We've had a great O-line. And I mean, now we have an elite quarterback, as a lot of people are saying coming into this year. He's also a running quarterback. He can run.
I know. I feel like that's going to be part of it too, is he's going to take some carries away and that kind of thing, just in some read offenses. It'll be interesting to see how they use him.
Hey, in a read option,
yeah.
Who's your primary?
Yeah, right.
If you play,
and I'm getting excited again now, and it's I don't even know what this team's going to look like yet.
Take on Deshaun, and then you have Nick Chubb going one-on-one with a safety or an outside linebacker. I like that.
Right.
Or you have Deshaun running to the corner against probably a corner or a safety. I like that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's just I don't want to get too excited, like I said.
No, you gotta. We've learned to become timid fans because.
I mean, I'm sure you were the same way when the Browns were playing the Steelers in the wild card. And it was the first quarter, what did we go up, 21-0, like that? I looked at my mom and I go, all right, so if they score on this drive, and then we go 3 and out, and then they're going to score again before half, they're going to get the ball back, and then it's a tie game again. Fuck.
Right, yeah.
That was my thought process, not, hey, we're up 21-0. We're chilling.
Right.
We're going to find a way to blow this. We're Cleveland.
Right. No, I'm with you.
So, until we start producing results, I'm going to be very scared to get excited.
No, I'm with you too. I've always been more of an optimist in my life, but it's hard sometimes with the Browns. You want to, you think it's all there. I thought it was all there the year after the playoff run where we were close with Kansas City. And, we didn't put it together that year. Baker ended up on a different team after that. The last thing I want to touch on the Browns before we go over is the wide receiver situation, because this to me is the most important, not most important, the most interesting thing going on out of camp. We have Watkins playing lights out. He's leading the league in preseason, in everything, basically, for wide receiver stats. Obviously, the locks for the roster are going to be DPJ, Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Cedric Tillman. I don't think you're moving on from David Bell that early.
He's still on a rookie contract. I wouldn't think so.
No, and then you're kind of are they going to take 7 and just take Jakeem Grant and Austin Watkins? But I don't see a reason to take 7 receivers. And I think if you practice squad Watkins, he's going to get signed somewhere else because he looks that good in the preseason.
See, here's my thing, though, right? Is let's go back to, I believe it would have been last year's preseason.
Yeah.
We had a wide receiver named Damian Sheehy-Gassetti.
Yeah.
Returned a punt.
There was a couple. It was the dude who was homeless or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Crazy story. He went from homeless to working his way into a workout with a team he wasn't supposed to be at.
Yeah.
Made a roster from there. Was in Cleveland. Returned a punt for a touchdown. I think against Indianapolis. And throughout the preseason, he had 200-something yards, and I think maybe another receiving touchdown. we still ended up cutting him, and not a single team signed him since.
Yeah, but I think I think the difference is, man, like, I know you haven't watched as much of the preseason as I have, but the ability that he's catching one-handed passes and stuff, he's wide open, he's making plays, he's scoring touchdowns. Like, it's not like it's like, what was his name, Michael Woods or whatever, who looked really good last year in camp. It's not like him where it's just camp. Like, he's going out, he's playing in these games, which obviously it's not starters 95% of the time or whatever the statistic would be. I just don't know how you can deny giving that guy a roster spot, especially because he just looks so, like, and he was a USFL player, he won the championship there, whatever stock he put in that, whatever. I don't know, and I like Jakeem too for return specialists.
That's my question then, is in your ideal world, do you cut one or roll with 7 and roll shallow somewhere else?
But where do you go shallow then, is the thing, because you say, what, like 2 running backs? But then you have Demetric Felton, Jerome Ford, and Nick Chubb, all draft picks, all investments we make. So, like, where do you go light? Yeah.
I mean, I think realistically you have to cut a receiver.
On top of the fact that we're probably going to roll 3 quarterbacks.
Well, every team can roll 3 quarterbacks.
Sometimes we ran 2 last year.
That's a new rule this year. You get a third quarterback.
Oh yeah, that's right. The emergency.
Yeah,
that's right.
A quarterback that can dress but doesn't count against your roster spot.
That's
so
right. I
why
forgot
we
about
have DTR and Dobbs.
Give DTR his flowers right now, man. He's been fun to watch.
Through the preseason, I am so excited about DTR. He's shown just like the flashes of excellency, and I think, again, if Deshaun can turn back into the Houston Deshaun that was lighting the league up and escaping sacks left and right, and throwing the ball on a line 40 yards downfield, and DTR can sit under him and learn for a few years, even if it's not with Cleveland, I'd love it to be with Cleveland.
That's a great trade asset at the end of the day.
I really think he could be special, especially after watching what he's done in this preseason. I mean, again, it's out of the preseason field, not throwing him up against Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen, but he's looked like the best quarterback on the preseason fields.
Yeah, he's leading the league, as I keep doing, the league, and a bunch of stats too for quarterbacks. He's been the bright spot of this offense. And Tillman's looked good too.
Tillman has.
I mean, like Tillman isn't like sticking out as like the receiver from the preseason like Watkins is, but he's still like worth every penny of that 3rd round pick that we spent on him.
I've said it for 2 years. While I don't think that Jalen Hyatt, the other Tennessee receiver, I don't think he's going to be a bad receiver at all. I've always said for the last 2 years that Cedric Tillman will be the better NFL receiver out of the 2.
Yeah.
And then I honestly kind of forgot about him a little bit when Jalen Hyatt went absolutely ballistic this year, but it was a flashy ballistic. It was a college football ballistic.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's going to be horrible, but he's not going to be doing what he was doing to the DBs in the NFL. But then I remember seeing Cedric Tillman drafted by the Browns, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's something to get really excited about.
Yeah.
Because
we didn't even real quick, and then you could actually go ahead and finish your spiel real quick, and then I'll throw in.
Again, I know I've said it a lot here, but he's just one of those guys, and I think, especially with the people we have above him, and Amari Cooper specifically, he can learn a lot about the NFL game, really refine his skills, and become a good receiver.
That's the same thing with like Elijah Moore too, a fresh start. I thought he was one of the better receivers in that draft. He slipped to the 2nd. I'm happy we have him now. And some of the stuff you see them using him in camp, like wide receiver sweeps, jet sweeps, that kind of thing.
Just utilizing
throwing him in the backfield and then handing him off the ball like he's a running. He's giving like great value to Deebo Samuel at times.
See, I've always thought he's a guy that you need to get the ball in his hands. He's not always necessarily going to create the play to get the ball into the hands himself. Like, he's not going to get wide open. But when you can get the ball to him, he can do something special.
I'm with you.
So the fact that you're telling me you're seeing him get wide receiver sweeps, screens out of the backfield, he's getting handed the ball, I really like that. Because even like, again, going back, I want to see Nick Chubb have 30 carries a game this year. But at the same time, having a guy that can change the pace is a beautiful thing to have.
Yeah.
And when you can have a guy that can change the pace as a wide receiver, that's awesome. Because running backs and wide receivers train to cut way differently, and like the way they get to the corner,
Right.
Everything's different.
Yeah.
So having a guy that can make a defense have to react to a wide receiver in open space versus a running back in open space, just being able to change the flow, and even if you have to make the defense prepare for that, it's taking time preparing from something else.
No, and I'm with you.
Across the board, it really can't be a bad thing in my mind.
And the one thing we haven't touched on real quick for the wide receiver room too is Goodwin. I mean, he's probably going to be out for the year.
I forgot.
He's probably going to be out for the year with the blood clots. I mean, I hope he isn't, just because that's a scary thing to deal with. But
Absolutely.
yeah, he's a spot on this roster too. So do you roll with 7 and then think, hey, maybe someone gets hurt, and if Goodwin comes back, then we're fine anyway? Or, like, because you're not bringing 8. There's no way you can fit 8 receivers on this roster. But when people are all, like, showing you reasons, everyone except Anthony Schwartz,
Gone.
he actually did look terrible in the last preseason. I'm still on cut him. I'm still on cut him. But he had like 3 or 4 catches. He had a catch in traffic, which was crazy to me because I've never seen him do that. But
he better get used to traffic because he's going to be door dashing here real soon.
yeah, oh my God. Okay, before we do this last topic, we're going to take a quick break real quick. Just get up, stretch around, and then we'll talk about our last little topic.
Sounds good.
So, to end the podcast off, our first episode, hopefully it hasn't been too messy or whatever, we're going to talk about a little light, fun topic. Favorite Cleveland throwback uniforms, any uniform in the history. I personally have 2 on my mind, so I'm going to let you go first. Throw out your option in case you take one of mine.
Personally, not a huge basketball fan. Was a big fan of the T-shirt jerseys that they were rocking, like back when Cleveland won the championship.
I see that jersey real quick because, first of all, the sleeve jerseys were terrible. Fashion-wise, terrible. Players hated them. I'm nostalgic to it because we did win the championship in it.
It's probably a good part of the reason why I love them.
But, like, it wasn't that. It didn't look like it looked like they were in, like, a soccer uniform almost.
I mean, I just think it was, like, a cool, different thing, you know? And I really like how basketball does a lot of their uniforms too, where like there's no like standard to how they have to look. You can do whatever you want, however you want. You can have this throwback this week and a throwback this week. Like
yeah, me too.
Just the wide variety that they can do, I really like.
Well, the NFL is moving that way too, which I really like. So is the MLB with like the City Connects. They're starting to go that way too. Right here on the fly, I've decided I'm going to do a uniform for all 3 teams. So to start it off, we're going to go with the Browns because this is like a pretty consensus one. The orange jerseys from the early 2000s, I want one of those back. Even if they did it in like the new orange, I'm down. I just think that would be a cool on-field. You don't do it every game. Maybe one game a year is fine. Especially because we have the throwbacks now. We have the orange, brown, white pants. We have a bunch of stuff going on. But one game, like what if we just did orange out the one? Like,
why not?
Right, why not? The Cavs, I love the uniforms we have now, but the blue and orange from the 90s, early 2000s, man, that's my girlfriend's favorite like logo we have. We go thrifting sometimes, that's all she picks out. That's all she'll pick out. But definitely any of those uniform sets. I like the one with like this, I don't know what else to say other than like the swish across the belly instead of just like black, blue, and orange like they kind of did before we drafted LeBron. And then the Guardians, by the way, I'm going to call you out again because you haven't seen Major League yet and you're a Cleveland sports fan, but the uniforms they had in Major League with the stripes down the side, blue, white, red, those in a redone Guardians format. I saw I think it was like a DH8 mock-up or something of it. Like the Nike swoosh was like upside down, but like that, like if that was like our City Connect and they did like the Major League logo on the sleeve or something like that, then I would be all in for that uniform. I would buy the jersey, Bo Naylor on the back.
I wish Cleveland would do a City Connect.
The MLB picks that though. That's not on the city.
Is that an MLB?
Yeah. So like they do like the 6 teams every year. So like we'll get it eventually, but we're just haven't been picked yet. Yeah.
See, I think that's kind of lame. I feel like they should let every team
get one at this point. Yeah.
Because I mean,
I know baseball's like the traditional sport or whatever, but like especially like it's dying compared to the other sports leagues right now. And I love baseball now, but like
they're trying all sorts of things to bring more attention to the game, changing rules to make it a better game. Like
pitch clock is the greatest thing to happen in the MLB. I love it.
I love all of the rule changes. I absolutely think that some tweaks need to be made at the
Yeah,
end
of
the
course.
season.
That's how it always is.
I mean, it's the first season with brand new rules to a game that's been around for a while. Like, it's going to be interesting. There's going to be growing pains. But in general, I mean, between the pitch clock speeding games up and the bigger bases, I think are the two most impacting the shift.
Yeah, the shift is huge. Yeah, I was happy with that decision as well.
I think it's moving baseball in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I think another step of that would be to allow teams to get more creative with how they want to do things. Like, one thing I love is the MLB just recently had their Little League Classic game.
Yeah.
They celebrate Little Leaguers just across the nation, celebrate growing up, playing baseball, all that great stuff. Bryson Stott, a batter for the Phillies, was using a custom bat for it that looked like a classic number 2 pencil.
Really?
And I think it's one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah.
And it's gone absolutely viral over the media.
Yeah.
And it's drawn I've seen so many comments under posts about it that are like, I don't even watch baseball, but that's cool as heck.
Yeah.
That's a great thing for the game.
Yeah, I'm with you. And one last thing before we kind of wrap this up, but the minor leagues, they're allowed to do like whatever, like the Rubber Ducks just did like, they were like the paninis or something like that. They were like or the sauerkraut balls. Like what's like have you ever had a sauerkraut ball? Okay, I've never had a sauerkraut ball. Okay, word. I'll try that sometime. Okay, word. But like, I'm not saying like super outlandish names or any like, but like
fun.
But like, why can't we have some fun uniforms? I like the Guardians jerseys right now.
Absolutely.
I think they look great. But we could still like spice it up a little bit.
Why not do like an all-white uniform and then black out Cleveland skyline across it, and then write Cleveland in red? Like, I think that like
we had a pinstripe jersey in like the 20s or something like that, and it was just a C at that time too. Why can't we bring that back for a game?
Modernize it, bring it back. Like,
Right.
why not?
You can
It'd
do
be
the
fun.
new Guardian C. I don't hate the new Guardian C.
I don't like the C. I'm not a big fan of
I know,
the
you
G,
don't like the G, but,
whatever.
Yeah, man. I hope they do that for the MLB because all the other leagues are starting to do it. I think the NHL's even doing that. I'm not much of a hockey guy, but I think they've done a couple throwbacks lately too.
I mean, it's getting there. It's just I feel like baseball is one of those sports that you have the biggest population of purists for. So it's going to be a lot slower to change, but as it changes, I think it's going to be better for the game.
Yeah, I'm with you. Are there any final thoughts you got before we wrap this up, the first episode, sitting in front of a webcam, just trying something out?
I think we covered everything we want to talk about here.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing the Browns this weekend play Kansas City, see what that kind of looks like for some of these guys at the hinge of the 53 man, and go from there. I'll be out and about and around, having a couple beers, watching the games at some of the bars around here, and then enjoy my Saturday night, man. So, with that being said, thank you for coming to Cleveland, the East Bank podcast, East Bank Sports Show. I named the show, I can't even remember it. Oh well, it's the first episode.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, that's about all I got. If that's all you got.
That's all I got.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening, tuning in. We did this on a whim, so appreciate it. Till next time, man.